The cold wind cut through the streets, a sharp reminder of the harsh winter night. Anna, a small girl no older than 10, walked briskly through the dimly lit alley, her coat frayed at the edges, her shoes barely holding together. She clutched her worn backpack tightly, her face hidden beneath the hood. She had learned early in life that the world wasn't kind to those like her. Alone, homeless. But tonight, there was something different about her, something that pushed her forward despite the bitter chill. She had seen something in accident. A biker had been thrown from his motorcycle and now lay motionless on the cold concrete. The sound of screeching tires still echoed in her mind as she ran toward him. Anna didn't hesitate. She wasn't the type to just walk away when someone needed help, no matter how bad things were for her. She had learned to survive, but she had never learned how to ignore someone in need. When she reached him, she stopped, her breath catching as she looked down at the man. His dark leather jacket was torn, and his face was pale, his eyes closed as if he had slipped into unconsciousness. She knelt beside him, trembling, but she was determined. "Sir," she whispered softly, "can you hear me?" The man didn't move. His breathing was shallow, and Anna knew she had to do anything to help. She glanced around, hoping someone would see her and come to her aid, but the street was eerily empty. People tended to avoid the alley, and tonight was no exception. Anna bit her lip, a plan forming in her mind. She pulled out her phone, its screen cracked from years of use, and tried dialing the emergency number. Please work," she muttered under her breath, but the call didn't go through. She looked at the biker again, her heart racing. He was in bad shape. She had no choice but to try to help him herself. She gently nudged his shoulder, her hands cold as ice. "Sir, wake up," she urged. Slowly, the man's eyes fluttered open, confusion and pain filling his gaze as he looked up at her. For a moment, they just stared at each other, two strangers bound together by an unexpected moment of crisis. Who are you?" he rasped, his voice hoarse. Anna swallowed hard, unsure of how to answer. "I'm Anna," she said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I saw you fall. I'm just trying to help." The man's eyes focused on her, his confusion deepening as he tried to sit up. "I don't need help," he said weakly, but Anna didn't move. "You do," she insisted. "You're hurt. I can help you." She glanced around again, frustration building as she realized she was all alone in this alley, with a man who didn't even know her name. The streetlights flickered, casting an eerie glow on the scene. The wind picked up, biting through Anna's thin clothes as she continued to kneel beside the biker. She didn't have much, but she had her heart, and right now, that was all she could offer. Anna felt her heart race as she watched the man slowly struggle to sit up. His face was pale, and he grimaced with every movement. The alley seemed to stretch on forever, the dim streetlights casting long shadows over the scene. The cold air wrapped around her like a blanket, making it harder to focus. She tried her best to stay calm, but the feeling of helplessness began to creep in. "Please," she whispered, "you need to stay still. You're hurt." The man glanced at her, confusion still clouding his features. He didn't believe her. He didn't see her as someone who could help. "I'm fine," he said, his voice shaky but defiant. "Just leave me alone." Anna froze for a second, taken aback by his words. She understood. People who were used to wealth and power often saw others like her as invisible, unworthy of their time or attention. But Anna wasn't like the others. She didn't give up when things got hard. She didn't walk away when someone needed help. She had learned to be strong when there was no one to rely on, and tonight, that strength was all she had to offer. "I can't leave you here," Anna said softly, trying to keep the tremor out of her voice. "You'll only get worse if I don't help you." The man's eyes narrowed as he stared at her. His mind was racing, but Anna could see the doubt in his gaze. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know how much she was willing to risk, just to get him the help he needed. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice thick with suspicion. "I'm Anna," she replied, her words steady despite the panic rising inside her. "I saw you fall off your bike. I'm just trying to help." She could see his skepticism, but she wasn't backing down. She reached into her backpack and pulled out the old first aid kit she always carried with her. It was nothing fancy, but it had helped her through many tough situations. "Let me help you," she repeated, her voice firm. For a long moment, the man said nothing. Then, with a deep sigh, he finally relented. "Fine," he muttered, "but make it quick." Anna immediately went to work, carefully cleaning the blood from his face and checking for other injuries. Her hands were steady as she applied pressure to a cut on his forehead. The man winced, but didn't protest. His eyes were fixed on her, studying her with an intensity she couldn't understand. "Why are you helping me?" he asked, his voice filled with disbelief. Anna hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to answer. She wasn't like the other people he knew. She didn't have any ulterior motives. She just wanted to make sure he was okay. "Because it's the right thing to do," she said simply. "Because you're a person, and I can't just leave you here." The man seemed to consider her words carefully. But before he could say anything, Anna heard the faint sound of footsteps approaching. She turned to see a figure coming down the alley toward them, a silhouette in the darkness. "Who is that?" the man asked, his voice sharp with alarm. Anna's heart skipped a beat as she recognized the figure. It was a police officer, one she had seen around the neighborhood before. "They're probably coming to help," she said, though her voice held a note of uncertainty. The officer arrived quickly, his flashlight illuminating the scene. "What's going on here?" he asked, his tone stern but not unfriendly. Anna quickly explained what had happened, telling him about the accident and how she had helped the man. The officer glanced at the man on the ground, his expression unreadable. "Are you okay, sir?" he asked. The man nodded slowly, his eyes still on Anna. "Yeah," he said, his voice low. "I'm fine." The officer didn't seem entirely convinced, but he didn't press the issue. Instead, he pulled out his radio and called for an ambulance. "Stay here," he instructed Anna. "We'll get him help." Anna nodded, relieved that the man was finally going to get the care he needed. As she watched the officer walk away, she couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just any ordinary night. There was something about this man, something more than just the injuries he had sustained. She had no idea who he was, but something told her that this moment was going to change her life forever. The ambulance arrived within minutes, its sirens cutting through the stillness of the night. The flashing red and blue lights cast an eerie glow across the alley, reflecting off the walls like some strange dream. Anna stood back, watching as paramedics rushed toward the man she had helped. The officer who had arrived earlier spoke briefly to the paramedics, explaining the situation, and then walked over to Anna. He studied her for a moment, as if trying to figure out who she was and why she had helped the stranger. "You did good," he said quietly, his voice softening. Not many people would have stopped to help someone like that. Anna just nodded, her hands still trembling slightly from the adrenaline. She didn't know why she had helped him, other than it felt like the right thing to do. After all, he was a person in need, and no one should ever be left alone like that. The paramedics lifted the man onto a stretcher, and as they loaded him into the ambulance, Anna took a deep breath and turned to walk away. But just as she was about to disappear into the shadows, a voice called out from behind her. "Hey, wait up." She turned to see the man from the alley, now sitting up in the back of the ambulance. He looked different, cleaner, with a sense of relief on his face. He was still pale, but the shock seemed to have worn off. "You don't have to leave," he said, his voice a little stronger now. "Come with me. I want to talk to you." Anna hesitated. She had no idea who this man was, or why he would want to talk to her. She was just a homeless girl, someone who was barely scraping by. But there was something in his eyes, something that told her he wasn't just offering out of pity. Something told her that this moment, this night, was about more than just helping a stranger. Slowly, she walked over to the ambulance and climbed in beside him. The door slammed shut behind her, and as the vehicle pulled away, Anna glanced at him, unsure of what to expect. "What's your name?" she asked, her voice cautious. The man looked at her for a moment, his face thoughtful, before he answered. "My name's William," he said, his voice low, "and I owe you my life." Anna raised an eyebrow, unsure of what he meant. "I didn't do anything special," she replied, her voice humble. "I just saw you needed help." William smiled weakly. "That's what makes it special," he said softly. "Most people would have just walked away, but you didn't. You saved me." He paused for a moment, as if considering his next words. "I'm a billionaire," he said, the words hanging in the air between them. You probably didn't know that, but I am. I have everything: money, power, fame, and yet, here I am, lying in the street, and you're the one who saved me." Anna blinked, processing what he had just said. She had no idea that the man she had helped was so important. It didn't change anything, though. He was still just a person to her. "You don't need to thank me," she said, looking down at her hands. "I just did what anyone would do." William shook his head slowly. "No," he said, his voice firm. "You did something that most people wouldn't do. You showed kindness when the world has forgotten how to be kind." There was a long silence as the ambulance sped through the streets. Anna didn't know what to say. She had never met anyone like William before, and his words made her feel both small and important at the same time. "You know," William continued after a while, "I've been looking for something for a long time. I've built my empire, but somewhere along the way, I lost what really matters. People like you, Anna, remind me that there's more to life than just success. There's kindness. There's helping others." Anna listened quietly, unsure of what to say. She wasn't used to people talking to her like this, like she mattered. "What are you saying?" she asked finally, her voice hesitant. William looked at her with a small smile. "I'm saying," he said slowly, "that I think you should come with me. I want to help you. I want to give you a chance. You don't have to live like this anymore." Anna's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure what he meant, but something about his words made her feel like maybe, just maybe, her life could change. Maybe there was more to her story than just surviving on the streets. The ambulance came to a stop outside a large hospital, the flashing lights reflecting off the building's glass windows. As the doors opened and paramedics rushed out with William, he turned to her one last time. "I'll be in touch," he said. "And Anna, thank you for everything." She stood there for a moment, watching him disappear into the hospital, before turning away and walking back into the night, her mind racing with possibilities. The days passed, and Anna couldn't shake the memory of the conversation in the ambulance. William, the man she had helped, had promised to be in touch, but she didn't know what to expect. She returned to her usual routine, walking the streets, scavenging for food, doing her best to stay out of sight. But in the back of her mind, the words he had said kept replaying. "I want to help you. I want to give you a chance." What did that even mean? Could someone like her really change her life? She had grown up with nothing, and nothing had ever come easy. The thought that someone, especially someone so powerful, could actually help her seemed too good to be true. A few days later, Anna was sitting by a small convenience store when her phone buzzed. She pulled it out of her pocket and saw an unknown number. For a second, she almost ignored it, but then she remembered William. Hesitantly, she answered. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was warm but professional. "Anna, this is William. I'm sorry it's taken me a while to reach out, but I wanted to make sure you were okay. How are you doing?" Anna's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected him to call so soon. "I'm okay," she replied, unsure of how to respond. "I've been doing what I can." There was a brief silence on the line before William spoke again. "I've been thinking about you, Anna. I want to help you get out of the streets. I can offer you a place to stay, food, and more. You don't have to do this alone anymore." Anna's throat tightened. She had always been independent, never wanting to owe anyone anything. But this offer, it was something she never thought she would get. "Why would you help me?" she asked, her voice shaky. "You don't even know me." William's voice was steady. "I know you saved my life, and I know what it's like to feel invisible, like nothing matters. I want to change that for you. I can't promise everything will be easy, but I can promise that you won't be alone." Anna didn't know what to say. She had never had anyone offer her something like this before. People had always ignored her, avoided her, treated her like she was invisible. But this man, this stranger who she had helped on the street, was offering her a chance to change everything. "I don't know," she said quietly. "I don't know if I can trust you. It feels too unreal." William understood. "I get it. It's a lot to ask. But just give me a chance, Anna. Come meet me. Talk to me. You don't have to make any decisions now." Anna hesitated for a long moment. She had nothing to lose, but everything to gain. Could she really take this step? Was she ready to leave behind the only life she had ever known? "Okay," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll meet you." William gave her the details, and they agreed to meet at a cafe the next day. Anna hung up the phone, still in shock. She wasn't sure what to expect, but something deep inside her told her that this might be the beginning of something new. The next morning, Anna dressed in her best clothes, which wasn't saying much. Her jeans were torn, and her jacket was old, but she had never felt more nervous. She had no idea where this meeting with William would lead, but she couldn't help but hope that it would be the start of a new chapter. When she arrived at the cafe, she saw William sitting at a table by the window. He was wearing a sharp suit, his hair neatly styled, and he looked every bit the part of the billionaire he had told her he was. But when he saw her, his face softened, and he smiled. "Anna," he said, standing up to greet her. "I'm so glad you came." Anna walked over to the table, her heart pounding. She wasn't sure what to do or what to say. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, trying to sound confident, though her hands were shaking. William motioned for her to sit down. "Of course, this is the least I could do after what you did for me." Anna sat down across from him, unsure of how to start. "So, what happens now?" she asked, her voice soft. William leaned forward slightly. "Now we talk. We figure out what you need, what you want. I want to help you get on your feet, Anna. You deserve better than this life. And I believe you can have it." His words were kind, but Anna couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. She had never thought about her future in this way. What did she want? What was even possible for someone like her? "I don't know where to start," she admitted, her voice quiet. William smiled again, his eyes warm. "We start with you, with what you want. You're in control of your own future now." Anna sat back in her chair, the weight of his words sinking in. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she had a choice. The world hadn't always been kind to her, but maybe, just maybe, this could be her chance to change it. The next few days passed in a blur for Anna. She met with William a few more times, each meeting more surreal than the last. He kept his promises. He helped her with small things at first: a warm meal, a new jacket to replace the old, worn one that barely kept the cold out. But the real change came when he took her to a small, cozy apartment, just a few blocks from the heart of the city. It was a space that felt foreign to Anna, not because it was unfamiliar, but because it was too nice, too clean for someone like her. The floors were polished, the windows large and bright, and the furniture, simple but modern, felt like something out of a magazine. William had arranged everything for her. The apartment was hers now. She couldn't believe it. A real place to live, all to herself. He had arranged for a job interview for her too, something that seemed impossible just a few weeks ago. Anna had always been used to surviving on the streets, but this was different. This was the life that most people only dreamed about. When she moved in, the first thing she did was open the window. The cool air rushed in, and for a brief moment, she just stood there, taking it all in. The city stretched out below her, the lights twinkling in the distance like stars. And for the first time in a long time, she felt something that she hadn't felt in years: hope. But there was still a part of her that felt like an imposter. She wasn't used to this, to people caring about her. She wasn't sure how to fit in, or if she even deserved to be here. She had spent so long being invisible, struggling to survive, that the idea of being taken care of having people who wanted to help her, felt like a dream. But William didn't see her as a charity case. He didn't see her as someone to pity. He saw her as someone with potential, someone who could make something of herself. The job interview was the next big step. She wasn't sure if she was ready, but she knew she had to try. William had given her the confidence to believe in herself, to believe that maybe she could do something more than just survive. The day of the interview, Anna stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the simple blouse William had helped her pick out. She felt nervous, but she also felt something else: determination. She wasn't going to let this chance slip by. She had to give it her all. When she arrived at the office, she was greeted by a receptionist who seemed surprised to see her. Anna was used to that look by now. The surprise, the confusion, the disbelief that someone like her could be here, could belong in a place like this. But she pushed those thoughts aside and walked in for the interview. The room was clean and bright, with a large desk and a chair across from it. The man who interviewed her was polite, professional, but there was something in his eyes that made Anna feel like she belonged. He didn't treat her like she was a charity case. He treated her like a person. "Tell me about yourself, Anna," he said after a brief exchange of pleasantries. Anna paused for a moment. She had never been asked that question before. She had always been defined by what she had to do to survive, by the life she had lived on the streets. But now, she was being asked about herself. Who was she? What did she want? For the first time in a long time, she thought about the answer. "I'm someone who's ready to make a change," she said, her voice steady. "I know I've had a rough start, but I want to build a better life. I want to work hard, to prove that I can do something more than just get by." The interviewer nodded, impressed by her confidence. "That's what we like to hear," he said. "We're looking for someone who's willing to learn and grow, someone with the right attitude." By the end of the interview, Anna felt something she had never felt before: hope. She didn't know if she would get the job, but she knew that just being there, just having the opportunity, meant that things were changing. And for the first time in her life, she felt like she was finally on the path to something better. As she left the office, her heart racing with excitement and nerves, she knew that no matter what happened next, she had already made a decision. She wasn't going to be invisible anymore. She wasn't going to just survive. She was going to live. And with William's help, she was going to make sure she succeeded. Anna's first few days at the new job were a whirlwind. Everything felt so unfamiliar: her new office, the polished desks, the sound of typing fingers on keyboards, and the constant hum of quiet conversations. But amidst it all, she focused on her work, giving it her best shot, just as William had encouraged her. At first, she was unsure of herself. How could someone like her, someone who had spent most of her life struggling just to survive, fit into a world like this? But with each passing day, Anna grew more comfortable. Her colleagues were kind, and her boss, Mr. Jenkins, seemed to believe in her, offering guidance and feedback without judgment. It was everything she had dreamed of. But even as things were improving, there was a part of Anna that couldn't shake the feeling of doubt. She had been raised to believe that good things didn't last, that people didn't help you without expecting something in return. And William, who had given her so much already, seemed too good to be true. One evening, as Anna sat at her desk, working late, she found herself scrolling through her phone, looking at old photos of herself, photos from the days when she was just another homeless girl on the streets, doing whatever she could to survive. She couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness. How had things changed so quickly? It felt like another lifetime. As she stared at the screen, her phone buzzed. It was a message from William. "How's everything going? Are you okay?" Anna stared at the message for a moment, unsure of what to say. She had been so focused on keeping her head down and working hard that she hadn't allowed herself to really talk to him. It was easier that way. She didn't want to burden him with her doubts or fears, but after a few moments of hesitation, she typed back, "I'm good, just adjusting." William responded almost instantly. "I'm proud of you. I know it's not easy, but you're doing great. Let me know if you ever need anything." Anna couldn't help but smile at his message. She had never expected someone like him to care so much about her. It felt like something out of a movie, something too perfect to be real. But as she sat there, looking at his message, she realized something. She had been waiting for something to go wrong, for the other shoe to drop. She had been waiting for him to disappoint her, to prove that he was only helping her because he expected something in return. But as the days went by, she started to see that William's kindness wasn't a trap. He didn't want anything from her. He simply believed in her. And slowly, that belief began to sink in. Anna began to trust herself more. The more she worked, the more she realized that she could do this, that she could make a life for herself beyond the streets, that she wasn't just someone to be pitied, but someone who could contribute, who could make a difference in her own life. A few weeks later, after a long day at work, Anna received a call from William. "Hey, Anna, how's it going?" His voice was warm, friendly, and she felt a sense of comfort just hearing it. "It's going well," she replied, leaning back in her chair. "I'm still adjusting, but I think I'm starting to get the hang of it." William laughed softly. "I knew you would. You're stronger than you think. Anna smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. Thank you, she said. I don't know what I would have done without you. There was a pause on the other end of the line, and then William spoke, his voice a little more serious. I'm glad I could help, Anna. But you know, I want to do more. I've been thinking about how I can help you further, how I can help you not just survive, but thrive. Anna felt a mix of emotions flood through her. She had always been taught to be independent, to never rely on anyone. But here was William, offering her something she hadn't even dared to imagine. What do you mean? She asked quietly. William's voice softened. I think it's time you take a step forward. I've arranged for you to start a full-time position in a different department, one that could give you the experience you need to really make a career out of this. It's a big opportunity, and I know you're ready for it. Anna's heart skipped a beat. A full-time position? A real career? She couldn't believe it. You really think I can do this? She asked, her voice trembling. William didn't hesitate. I know you can. You've come so far already, Anna. Now it's time to take the next step. Anna sat in silence for a moment, taking it all in. This was it. The chance she had been waiting for. The chance to finally have a life that was hers, not one defined by the streets, but by her own choices. I won't let you down, she said softly, her voice full of conviction. I'm going to make the most of this. As the call ended, Anna sat there, her phone still in her hand, her mind racing. She had a long road ahead of her, but for the first time in her life, she felt like she was on the right path. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was living. It had been a few weeks since Anna started her full-time position at the new department, and things were going better than she ever could have imagined. Every day felt like a new challenge, but she was learning so much, and with each passing day, she grew more confident in herself. She wasn't just the homeless girl anymore. She was a person with a purpose. Still, there were moments when doubt crept in. She couldn't help but wonder if she really belonged in this world, a world so different from the one she had known her whole life. There were times when she caught herself feeling like an outsider, as if everyone else could see right through her, into the fear and uncertainty she kept buried deep inside. But every time that doubt tried to take hold, William was there. He had been her constant support, offering encouragement when she needed it the most. It wasn't just about the job. He had given her a chance. But more importantly, he had given her belief in herself, and that meant everything. One afternoon, as she was working on a report, her phone buzzed. It was a text from William. Hey, I need to see you. Can you come by the office later? Anna's heart skipped a beat. It wasn't unusual for William to check in with her, but the tone of his message made her nervous. She quickly replied, Sure, I'll be there. When she arrived at his office later that day, she found him sitting behind his desk, looking unusually serious. Come in, Anna, he said with a warm but tired smile. I've got something important to discuss with you. Anna sat down across from him, her mind racing. Was something wrong? Was she not doing well at her job? Had she done something to disappoint him? Is everything okay? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. William nodded, but there was a hint of hesitation in his eyes. There's something I need to tell you, he began slowly. I've been thinking a lot about what's best for you moving forward. Anna's heart pounded in her chest. Was he about to tell her that this was all just a temporary arrangement, that it was time for her to leave? But before she could say anything, he continued. I'm offering you something more, something bigger. I want you to consider a permanent position here at the company. I'm not just talking about the department you're in now. I'm talking about a career, a real future here. Anna stared at him, trying to process what he was saying. You want me to stay here? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. William smiled softly. I don't just want you to stay here, Anna. I want you to thrive here. I see so much potential in you, and I know you have what it takes to succeed. This opportunity could change everything for you, but it's up to you to decide if you're ready to take that step. For a moment, Anna sat in stunned silence. This was more than she had ever hoped for, more than she had ever imagined possible. A permanent job, a career, a future, all of this, available to her now, if she chose to take it. She looked down at her hands, feeling the weight of the decision. Could she really do this? Could she take this chance, knowing the risks? What if she failed? What if she wasn't good enough? But then she remembered all the times she had doubted herself, all the times she had convinced herself that she wasn't worth anything. And she thought about everything William had done for her, the belief he had shown in her when no one else had. He hadn't just given her a job, he had given her a chance. And now, it was her turn to take that chance and prove to herself that she was worthy of it. "I'm ready," she said, her voice filled with conviction. William smiled, his eyes soft with pride. "I knew you would be. You've come so far, Anna, and this is just the beginning." That night, as Anna walked back to her apartment, she felt like a new person. The streets no longer felt like a place she would have to return to. She wasn't invisible anymore. She was part of something bigger, something real. She had a future, and for the first time in her life, she knew she could shape it. She had faced her fears, taken a leap of faith, and now she was moving forward, one step at a time. Anna had no idea what the future held, but she knew one thing for sure: she wasn't going to let anything hold her back. This was her time. This was her life. The days that followed Anna's decision to accept William's offer felt like a blur of new beginnings. She moved into her new role, and with each passing day, the nervousness she had felt started to fade away, replaced by a quiet confidence. William continued to check in on her, offering support and advice when needed, but more and more, she was learning to trust her own instincts. Anna was surprised at how much she was capable of when given the chance. Her colleagues began to see her as more than just the girl who had been given a handout. She was a dedicated worker, someone who could take on challenges and solve problems. The respect she earned from them was unlike anything she had ever felt before. It felt good to be seen for her abilities, not for where she came from or what she had endured. But even with all the success she had achieved, Anna could never completely escape the memories of her past. There were still moments when she would catch herself feeling out of place, as though she didn't truly belong in the world she was now a part of. It was easy to believe that people like her didn't get second chances, but William had shown her that it wasn't true. One evening, after work, William invited her to dinner at a nice restaurant downtown. Anna wasn't sure what to expect, but she had learned to trust him by now. As they sat down at a table by the window, William looked at her with a kind smile. "You've been doing great, Anna," he said, his voice filled with pride. "I'm proud of you. You've come a long way since we first met." Anna smiled, but a part of her couldn't help but feel that she hadn't really done anything extraordinary. She had simply worked hard, taken the opportunities that came her way, and tried her best. It wasn't anything special, was it? William, as if reading her mind, continued, "I know it feels like you're just doing your job, but I want you to know that it's more than that. You've taken control of your life, Anna. You've turned things around in a way that not many people could." Anna looked down at her glass of water, unsure of how to respond. She had never been one to accept compliments easily. "I just did what I had to do," she said softly. "I'm not anything special." William leaned forward, his tone gentle but firm. "You are special, Anna. What you've accomplished, what you've overcome, it's incredible. And I want you to remember that. You don't have to feel like you don't belong here. You belong exactly where you are." His words hung in the air between them, and for the first time in a long time, Anna felt a shift inside herself. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was thriving. It was all so overwhelming, this new life, the opportunities, the support, but it was also exactly what she had always dreamed of. Anna had never thought she would be sitting in a place like this, dining in a fancy restaurant with someone who believed in her. She had spent so much of her life in survival mode that she had forgotten what it felt like to live, to feel valued, and to have hope for the future. But now, as she sat across from William, she realized that she wasn't alone in this anymore. She had a future, and it wasn't defined by the struggles she had faced. It was defined by the person she was becoming. Over the course of their dinner, they talked about everything and nothing. William asked her about her dreams, her goals, and for the first time, Anna allowed herself to imagine a future that wasn't limited by her past. She told him about the things she wanted to do, places she wanted to visit, skills she wanted to learn, and goals she wanted to achieve. It felt good to dream again. As they finished their meal, William smiled at her, a look of contentment in his eyes. "You've got big things ahead of you, Anna," he said. "I can already tell." Anna felt a warmth spread through her chest. Maybe she did have big things ahead of her. Maybe this was just the beginning, and for the first time in her life, she believed it. As they left the restaurant, William turned to her and said, "Keep going, Anna. You're doing great. Don't ever forget that." Those words stayed with her long after the evening ended. The next day, as she walked to work, the world seemed different. It didn't feel as intimidating or overwhelming anymore. She was still the same person, but now, she had a new sense of purpose. She was ready to take on whatever came next. No longer was she defined by her past. She was defined by her own choices, her own strength, and the belief that she could make her future anything she wanted it to be. Weeks passed, and Anna was continuing to grow into her new life. Each day brought new challenges, but also new triumphs. She felt herself becoming more confident, not just at work, but in all areas of her life. She was starting to truly feel like she belonged, like she was finally stepping into the person she was meant to be. But as much as things had changed, as much as she had accomplished, there was still a part of her that couldn't fully shake the past. The memories of the streets, of being invisible and overlooked, still haunted her. There were moments when she would find herself looking over her shoulder, expecting someone to question her, to tell her that she didn't belong. But then she would remember William, and how he had believed in her from the very beginning. He had given her the chance to prove herself, and now it was up to her to keep pushing forward. One evening, Anna was walking home from work when she received a text from William. "I need to see you. Can you come by my office tomorrow?" Her heart skipped a beat. What could he want? Had something gone wrong? She quickly texted back, "Of course, I'll be there." The next day, she found herself once again in front of William's office, the door slightly ajar. She knocked gently before entering. William was sitting at his desk, a serious look on his face. "Hey, Anna," he said, standing up to greet her. "I'm glad you could come. There's something I need to discuss with you." Anna's stomach tightened with nerves. She sat down, her mind racing with possibilities. "What's going on?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. William took a deep breath. "I know things have been going well for you here," he began, "but I want to offer you something more, something bigger. I've been talking with some of the board members, and they're all very impressed with your progress." Anna blinked, surprised. "You've been talking to the board? About me?" William nodded. "Yes, and they agree with me. You've got potential, Anna, not just in this department, but in the company as a whole. We want to offer you a leadership role, a chance to really make an impact here." Anna was stunned. A leadership role? She had never imagined something like that. She was just a girl who had been living on the streets not long ago. How could they think she was ready for something like this? William must have seen the confusion on her face. "I know this is a lot to take in," he said gently, "but I believe in you. You've shown incredible dedication, and I know you have the ability to lead. It's time to take the next step." Anna sat there in stunned silence. She had always dreamed of a life like this, but she never thought it would actually happen. She never thought she would be offered a chance like this. A leadership role? It felt like a dream. "I'm not sure I'm ready for that," Anna said, her voice trembling slightly. "I've just started to get comfortable here. I don't know if I can handle something like that." William smiled softly. "I understand your hesitation. But remember, you didn't get where you are by playing it safe. You've taken risks before, and look where it's gotten you. You're capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for. And I'll be here to help you, every step of the way." Anna looked down at her hands, processing everything he had said. She had always doubted herself, had always been afraid of pushing too hard, of reaching too high. But now, looking at William, seeing the belief in his eyes, something inside her shifted. Maybe she was ready. Maybe this was the opportunity she had been waiting for. "I'll do it," Anna said, her voice steady. "I'll take the role. I won't let you down." William's smile widened. "I knew you would. I'm proud of you, Anna." That moment, sitting in William's office, everything clicked into place. For the first time in her life, Anna truly felt like she was on the right path. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She wasn't just living in the shadows of her past. She was becoming the person she had always wanted to be: strong, capable, and ready to face whatever the future held. As she left the office that day, the weight of her decision felt both heavy and liberating. She was about to take on a whole new challenge, but this time, she wasn't doing it alone. She had people who believed in her, who were willing to help her succeed. And most importantly, she believed in herself. It was the day Anna had been waiting for, the day she would officially step into her new role as a leader at the company. The weight of the decision still sat heavily on her chest, but as she walked into the office that morning, something inside her clicked. She wasn't just an employee anymore. She was someone who had earned her place, who had proven her worth, and now she was ready to lead. The office was buzzing with activity as usual. People were talking, phones were ringing, and the hum of typing filled the air. But as Anna walked through the doors, it felt different. She wasn't just walking to her desk anymore. She was walking into a new chapter of her life. William was waiting for her in his office, his expression proud but serious. "Good morning, Anna," he greeted her warmly. "I'm glad you're here. Are you ready for today?" Anna smiled, feeling a surge of confidence. "I'm ready," she said, her voice steady. William gestured for her to sit down. "I'm glad to hear that," he said. "Today marks the beginning of something important, not just for you, but for the whole team. You've earned this, Anna. I believe in you." Anna took a deep breath, her heart pounding with anticipation. This was it, the moment she had been waiting for. "Thank you, William," she said, her voice quiet but filled with gratitude. "I couldn't have made it this far without you." William smiled and stood up. "You did all the hard work, Anna. I just gave you the opportunity to show what you're capable of. Now, let's make sure you're ready to lead." He walked to the door and opened it. "It's time for your first big meeting. The team is waiting for you." Anna followed him, her mind racing. She had been in meetings before, but this was different. This wasn't just a regular meeting. This was her team, her responsibility. As they entered the conference room, Anna was greeted by the familiar faces of her colleagues. They were all sitting around the large table, waiting for her. For a moment, she felt a flicker of doubt. Were they expecting too much from her? Did they think she was ready? But then she remembered William's words, and she felt the doubt begin to fade. She was ready. She had earned this. "Good morning, everyone," she said, her voice confident. "I'm Anna, and I'll be leading today's meeting." The room went silent as everyone turned to face her. She could feel their eyes on her, but instead of feeling nervous, she felt a surge of strength. This was her time. "We have a lot to cover today, but I want to start by saying that I'm here to support you. We're a team, and I want to make sure we all succeed together. If you have any questions or ideas, don't hesitate to speak up." As she spoke, Anna could see her colleagues nodding, some of them exchanging glances. They seemed to be listening, taking her words seriously. It wasn't just about the job she was doing, it was about the person she was becoming. She had never thought she could lead, but here she was, doing it. The meeting went smoothly, and by the end of it, Anna felt a sense of accomplishment she had never felt before. She had done it. She had led her first meeting, and it had gone well. As she walked back to her desk, she could hardly believe what had just happened. She wasn't the same girl who had walked into this company months ago. She was someone different, stronger, more confident, and more capable than she had ever known. Later that day, William stopped by her desk to check in. "How did it go?" he asked, his voice full of anticipation. Anna looked up at him and smiled. "It went well," she said, her voice filled with pride. "I think I've got this." William's face lit up with a smile. "I knew you would," he said. "You're more than capable, Anna. I'm proud of you." His words meant more to her than she could express. She had come so far from the girl who had nothing, from the girl who had spent her nights on the streets, unsure of where her next meal would come from. Now, she was here leading, succeeding, and building a future for herself. As the day came to a close, Anna walked out of the office with a sense of accomplishment and pride. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was living. And for the first time in her life, she felt like she had a future that was all her own. The weeks continued to fly by, and with each new day, Anna felt more and more at home in her role. She had grown accustomed to the responsibilities that came with her leadership position, and with the support of her team, she began to excel in ways she had never imagined. But as her professional life flourished, there was still a part of her that lingered in the past. Despite the new clothes, the fancy office, and the title she had earned, the streets still felt close to her, like a shadow that followed her everywhere. She had never truly felt worthy of all the good things happening in her life, and sometimes the fear of losing it all crept up on her. One evening, after a long day at work, Anna received a phone call from William. It wasn't unusual for him to check in, but this time, his voice sounded different. There was an urgency in it that she hadn't heard before. "Anna, I need to talk to you," he said, his voice calm but serious. "Can you meet me at the office in about an hour?" Anna's stomach twisted with nervousness. "Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice trembling. William's response was immediate and reassuring. "Everything's fine, but I need to discuss something important with you. It's about the future." The future? Anna wasn't sure what that meant, but she agreed to meet him. She quickly made her way to the office, her mind racing with possibilities. What could he want to discuss? When she arrived, she found William standing by the window in his office, looking out over the city. His posture was rigid, his hands clasped behind his back. He turned when he heard the door open, a small smile appearing on his face. "Thanks for coming," he said. "I know this is last minute, but I needed to talk to you about something." Anna nodded, feeling a sense of unease wash over her. "What's going on?" William gestured for her to sit down across from him. "I've been thinking a lot lately about how far you've come. You've done an incredible job, Anna. But with your new role, there are some changes coming to the company. I need someone I can trust to step up and take on even more responsibility." Anna listened intently, her heart beginning to pound. Was this about more work? A promotion? She wasn't sure if she was ready for more. William continued, his voice steady. "I want you to lead a new project. It's a huge opportunity, and it could take this company in a new direction, but it will require a lot of dedication and focus. I believe you're the person who can make this happen." The weight of his words sank in. A new project? Something that could change the company's future? It was a lot to take in. "I don't know," Anna said, her voice shaky. "It sounds amazing, but I don't want to let anyone down. I'm already doing so much." William leaned forward, his expression warm but firm. "I understand your hesitation. This will require a lot of you, but I believe in you. You've already proven that you have what it takes. This project will be a game changer, and I want you to be the one to lead it. You've earned this opportunity, Anna." His words, full of belief and encouragement, made Anna's heart swell with pride, but doubt still lingered. Could she really handle this? She had come so far, but was she ready for something this big? William seemed to sense her hesitation. "Look, I won't push you into anything you're not ready for, but I want you to take some time to think about it. This could be the defining moment of your career, and I know you're capable of so much more than you realize." Anna sat in silence for a few moments, the weight of his words pressing down on her. This was more than just a job. It was a chance to shape her future, to create something lasting. She had spent so much time running from the past, from the fear that she wasn't good enough, that she hadn't given herself enough credit. But now, with the support of someone who truly believed in her, she realized that maybe, just maybe, she was ready. "I'll do it," she said, her voice steady. "I'm ready. I won't let you down." William's face broke into a smile. "I knew you would. I'm proud of you, Anna." As Anna left the office that night, a new sense of purpose filled her. This was more than just an opportunity. It was her chance to prove to herself, once and for all, that she could achieve everything she had ever dreamed of. The fear that had always held her back began to fade, replaced by a sense of strength she had never known before. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living, and she was ready to take on whatever came next. As the weeks went by, Anna found herself facing the new project head-on. The weight of the responsibility was daunting, but every time she felt doubt creeping in, she remembered William's words. "I believe in you. You've already proven that you have what it takes." It was a mantra she repeated to herself when the pressure started to build. The project was complex, an initiative that would require her to lead a team, make tough decisions, and deliver results that could significantly impact the company's future. At first, the team seemed hesitant. They had heard about Anna's recent promotion and the work she had been doing, but to many of them, she was still the new face in the company, someone they didn't know well enough to follow. But Anna wasn't the same girl she had been when she first walked into this office. She wasn't afraid to take charge, to make the tough calls. Slowly, she began to gain their trust. She listened to their concerns, worked to address them, and led by example. There were times when things didn't go as planned. There were days when deadlines were missed, when the pressure felt like it might break her. But Anna kept pushing forward. She knew that nothing worth having came easily, and she was determined to prove that she could handle the challenge. As the project progressed, Anna's confidence grew. Her team began to rally behind her, and together they started to make real progress. The numbers were improving, the plans were falling into place, and Anna could feel the momentum building. Still, there were moments of doubt. She had come so far, but there was always a voice in the back of her mind telling her that she wasn't enough, that she didn't belong in this world of high-powered executives and large projects. But she couldn't afford to listen to that voice anymore. She had spent too much of her life feeling like she didn't belong, and now she was building something for herself that could never be taken away. One afternoon, after a particularly long and difficult day, Anna found herself sitting alone in her office, reviewing the progress reports. It had been a rough week, and she was feeling exhausted. But as she scrolled through the numbers, something clicked. They were ahead of schedule. The project was on track to succeed, and Anna had led her team through every obstacle. She leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes for a moment, allowing herself to savor the accomplishment. She had done it. She had proven to herself that she was capable of much more than she had ever believed. Her phone buzzed on the desk, pulling her out of her thoughts. It was a text from William. "Great work today, Anna. I knew you had it in you." Her heart warmed at his words. He had always believed in her, even when she hadn't believed in herself. She had come so far, from a homeless girl with no future to a leader within a major company. The transformation had been nothing short of incredible. The next day, William called her into his office. He was sitting behind his desk, a smile on his face. "I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing," he said. "I've been hearing great things about the project." Anna smiled, feeling a sense of pride. "We're on track, William. It's been a challenge, but we're making progress." William nodded, his eyes filled with pride. "I knew you could do it. You've shown that you're not just capable, you're exceptional. Keep this up, and there's no telling where you'll go." His words filled her with a sense of accomplishment, but also a sense of responsibility. She wasn't just doing this for herself anymore. She was doing it for her team, for the company, and for the future she was building. As she walked out of his office, Anna felt a sense of peace settle over her. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was thriving. And as she looked out over the city from the windows of the office, she realized something she had never truly understood before. She had everything she needed to succeed. All she had to do was believe in herself and keep going. Months had passed since Anna's first big project. And as she looked back on everything she had accomplished, it was hard to believe how far she had come. She had been given a chance, an opportunity that she never thought possible, and now she was leading a team, making decisions that impacted the future of the company. Her life had changed in ways she never expected, and it wasn't just the job, the office, or the paycheck. It was the realization that she had truly built something from nothing. The streets, the hardships, the doubts, none of it defined her anymore. She was more than her past. She was a woman with a future, one that she had worked tirelessly to create. Anna stood at her office window one evening, looking out at the city skyline as the sun began to set. The golden hues of the evening light bathed the buildings in a warm glow, and she couldn't help but smile. This was her world now. She was no longer the girl who was invisible, the one who had to fight for every scrap of food, for every moment of safety. Now, she was someone people turned to for guidance, someone who had earned her place. Just as she was lost in thought, her phone buzzed with a text from William. "You've done incredible work, Anna. I'm proud of you. You've come a long way." The message warmed her heart, and for a moment, she thought about how much he had helped her become the person she was now. Without him, she might still be stuck in that cycle of doubt and fear, unsure of whether she was capable of achieving anything. But he had seen something in her, something that had been hidden for so long, and he had helped her bring it to the surface. And now, as she stood at the top, looking out at the future she was shaping, Anna realized just how much she had grown. It wasn't just about the success. It was about the person she had become, the leader, the woman who could take on challenges and face whatever came next with confidence. That night, as she walked out of the office for the last time that week, she felt a sense of peace. The weight of the past had finally lifted, and she could breathe easily for the first time in so long. The world, which once seemed so overwhelming and intimidating, now felt full of possibilities. She was ready for whatever came next, and as she stepped into the car waiting for her outside, she couldn't help but smile. This was only the beginning. There was so much more to accomplish, and Anna knew she was more than capable of handling whatever life threw her way. She had already proven to herself that she could succeed. She had already proved that she wasn't just surviving, she was living. And as the car drove off into the night, Anna realized that the future was hers to create. She was no longer defined by where she came from. She was defined by who she was becoming, and she was just getting started. This captivating Black story follows the inspiring journey of a young girl who rises from the harsh streets to become a successful leader in the corporate world. From living in constant survival mode to breaking through barriers, this Black story reveals the power of resilience and the importance of believing in oneself. As Anna's life transforms, she navigates the challenges of leadership, building trust with her team, and overcoming the doubts that come from her past. This Black story highlights the incredible impact of one person believing in another, as William, an influential figure, gives Anna the chance to prove her potential. As she steps into her role, Anna not only transforms her career but also redefines her sense of worth. This Black story shows how with hard work, support, and determination, anything is possible. Anna's journey proves that no matter where you come from, you can change your future. Throughout this journey, Anna confronts her fears, steps up to lead, and ultimately embraces the opportunities that come her way, proving that with the right support and mindset, dreams can be turned into reality. The power of Black stories like this one lies in the courage to push forward, even when the odds are against you, and in the unwavering belief that transformation is possible for anyone, no matter their background.